Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the MicDrop podcast. It's your boy Alex Wordu. Follow us on all social media. Links will be in the description down below. We got a special guest in the building. First guest of 2023. One of my favorite podcasters, Sound from Club Ambition. Say what's up to the people.
Shout out to you. I appreciate everybody out there listening to this. This is Sound from Club Ambition. And yeah, man, just happy new year to everyone as well. Just appreciate you. It's my first conversation of the new year at all.
Mm.
First podcast. I haven't even filmed mine yet today, so I'm excited, man. I appreciate you for having me on. I'm always, grateful for your support and your, online social media presence. It's one of the things that reminds me to keep on going. So I appreciate you for real.
I dead ass like I feel like I'm like a almost like a day one supporter. I think the first reaction I saw was probably like the Isaiah Rashad son's tirade
Oh yeah.
reaction. Yeah, I don't know if that was like
Well,
the
that's
first
day
one.
one. That's day one for real, then.
Yeah, yeah. I've been watching you since I was like I want to say 18, 17. So yeah. Um, but
That's
before I
dope. I
get into
appreciate that.
everything, yeah, no problem. So before I get into everything, talk a little bit about where you're from. Obviously, Rhode Island. But
hmm
what does Rhode Island mean to you as like a content creator?
Man, Rhode Island to me, you know, it's a double-edged sword because it's definitely the stereotypical example of where someone can lose inspiration because it's the smallest state in the country. So for those who don't know out there, I'm from the smallest state in North America, in the United States of America, it's Rhode Island. So out of the 50 original states, we are the smallest by a landslide. It's like no debated. Like there's nothing even really close when it comes to size wise. But, you know, it can make any creator kind of like, oh, and not just any. Let me just summarize it up. For the majority of the creators and throughout my childhood growing up, all the creators out of here would basically feel like they gotta leave. Like, oh, there's nothing here. I need to get out of here. But myself, I would say, especially in the past like 3 years, I've kind of refocused and felt more reinvigorated with a new definition of what, being from Rhode Island is for me as a creator. And what I've done is basically just funneled all the, you know, energy that stereotypical people from here feel of like frustrations to leave, and I've turned it into like the complete opposite. I've learned how to basically just do what isn't done out here yet. If I see something online that's creative, like they have a podcast, people do podcasting, and I listen to podcasts every day, like constantly everywhere I'm going to, I'm listening to whether it's Charlemagne the God and Andrew Schultz, Brilliant Idiots,
Mhm.
obviously Flagrant 2, Joe Budden podcast, Joe Rogan episodes, you know, I'm constantly listening to podcasts throughout I would say it's been like, yeah, probably like 5, 6 years now, every day, especially weekly at least, but definitely every day. So I was like, why is there not a podcast out here? I started it, created it, and now I've become the biggest podcast out here by a landslide, especially because I created the separation where it's like, okay, there's no podcast out here, but let me do one. If I do one, it has to match high quality, like content level of, a podcast that I already listened to, like a Joe Budden and Joe Rogan, at least my version of that. And I did that, visually it's great. The clips always go viral on TikTok and IG Reels like every day. It's pretty insane to even keep up with. So that's helped the growth of the brand and the podcast, but it's all from here, Rhode Island, smallest state in the country. And
Mhm.
that's a thing that it's a prime example of, being able to, manifest something that doesn't exist, creating it in a place where you don't see it existing, and, conquering that at the same time because you become this big fish in a small pond. I always say that phrase of,
Yeah.
everyone wants to go to LA, New York because you want to become something big, but everyone out there is always trying to become something big. So you're a small fish in a big pond. But when you're in the opposite situation, a a smaller, pond, you can become that big fish. Rhode Island is
Right.
literally the smallest thing in the country. So anything that someone does out here stands out right away. So I focus on the content creation. I've already done it without trying to when it came to the backseat, not even backseat, but sitting in the car reactions I still do, the car reaction, creating the car reaction content, and that always has good traction, especially when it comes to big artists, but there's not, especially in the recent years in the music industry, it hasn't been as like, constantly like a new album every week. It doesn't really happen, especially major artists. They really don't drop every week no more. They take big hiatuses, so that's made the reaction game kind of like not be as consistent. So I, instead of sitting back and being lazy throughout those times of like emptiness, I've filled now the channel with, even though it doesn't get crazy views, it's quality content. You go on it and you see it's quality content. So that's become the podcast, clips from the podcast. Um, and I was like, all right, that's one thing. I can keep this up consistently. I can do the podcast for the rest of my life. I started it. I know how to do it now, but I'm like, how else? What else can I do? So then, aside from the podcast, I'm like, all right, I already got the reactions. I got the podcast. It's out of Rhode Island. People know that. But I'm like, how can I embrace Rhode Island even more? The everyday random individuals. So I started doing street interviews, similar to the NYC Side Talk or the Billy on the Street, Billy Eichner, the famous white comedian, Billy on the Street, interviewing people on the street. Or just stereotypical like CNN. I know Trevor Noah has someone, I forgot his name. There's always like these news stations always have someone walking in the street and just interviewing them. So
Mhm.
me and my friend Edwin, he was like, "Yo, we should do content like that," and I was like, "All right, let's do it." The idea was kind of to have him on, but he's shy. He gets very awkward and weird. I'm like, "All right,
Yeah, I've
Edwin."
noticed.
And yeah, he's always like that. He's a tough cookie, but that's why I love him because he's always himself no matter what. Even though it's not the best for certain situations, he's always Edwin. So when it came to him, I'm like, all right. He planted that sort of like driving me to actually do it because he's like, oh, I want to do this. Let's do it because I'm in that mood now. Especially because YI left the channel, Eric left the channel. He's not on camera no more. So that made me, that was at the same time that I felt like I gotta embrace Rhode Island more. That happened. So I'm like, okay, let me just start new content. And then like if someone's saying something and it's like someone I love, one of my best friends, I'm gonna take it more serious. I'm not gonna just like, oh, try it and not do it. I'm gonna try it. It worked. We ran viral off the first time we did it. I think it was a TVD Fest. We ran viral locally. We were viral online, on Facebook, everywhere. I'm like, all right, I did it. Let me just keep doing it. And that's been amazing as well. So I try to like, I can even be more consistent with that if I'm being honest. I can go to the Providence, Rhode
Mhm.
Island Mall. I could go to the hood. Eventually, I'm gonna do that. But what I've just done now is done like Rhode Island events. So I'll go to like Providence. I did the Providence Festival. I did the Gay Pride Festival. I did the Rhode Island Comic Con. When there's something big like notable, I'll try to do that to kind of just, I guess, for myself, create some sort of like structure. But at the same time, it's just basically going back to that fundamental thing of like, trying to realize like if Rhode Island's small, everyone feels like they have no inspiration. Why shouldn't I become that source of inspiration?
Mhm.
Because not for nothing, I felt like always locally, I've had something like people kind of gravitate towards me to not even like sound like what's it called? To not sound cocky or nothing, but just the idea of like the
No, talk your
stereotypical
shit,
kid.
bro. You're the biggest
So,
creator out of Rhode Island. Talk your shit. Talk your
yeah,
shit.
man, I definitely am. When it comes to like don't gas me up. I'll go too viral. But when it comes to like out here locally, like in school, I've always was the one that blended with both crowds. Because I blend with, I'm Dominican, but I also and I identify as black because I have Nigerian blood. Like I literally am 50% Nigerian African
Oh,
blood.
for real?
But yeah, 100%. Yeah,
Oh, I'm
it's just I
Nigerian.
had to
That's
like,
crazy. I had no idea.
yeah, I had to do my ancestry to get the factual, definition. But I just know, like, without prior growing up, I've always known, like, I've had to be, there's black Dominicans, there's white Dominicans, but especially in the East Coast, like, there's a sense of, like, even if you are a white Dominican, they still fall you into, like, the category of overall Dominican. But now,
Mhm.
as I become an adult, I've specified, I know more about my culture or my bloodline. But regardless, nonetheless, I've always been, universal. I've always had African friends, Asian friends, Spanish friends, so I always didn't have an issue with that. And then I always was like a part of like the cool crew, but I never was drinking or smoking, so I never got too involved. And then the stereotypical nerds, I've always had friends like that that were in the chess club, etc. So I had like an overall like sort of like popular feeling in school. Like I literally won, what was it called, the prom king or whatever that is. Like I won that from people voting. So certain things like that always happen, but I was like, how can I turn this into, something that's like content and still have a moral to it? Because I never was too much of like a class clown. Like I'll joke and I know how to like get girls' attentions, like making them laugh, etc. But I never pushed the needle. Like I never tried to be like a boot gang or like like when people get disrespectful and like is like you get too like you offend someone in public or like do weird things. Like I was never like that. Like I always was universal. I was very close to teachers. Like I always loved teachers. Even though I would get mad at them, I still had like a friendship with them. I'll hang out with teachers after school, after class, and just talk about life. So I always had this sort of thing, right? But then how could I, take it to another level? So people already fucked with me, they respected me locally. How can I make this actually work on social media? And naturally it's worked. So it's like I become sort of like a spokesperson because I can, have a conversation with a politician one week, literally the mayor of my city, and then the next week I can have a model from OnlyFans talking about she drunk piss and like she like loves drinking piss, and it's like I have a huge range of possibilities because at the end of the day I also don't judge no one, and I feel like people feel comfortable with that. They know like I make fun of myself. Like if someone were to judge me, I'm already judging myself before they judge me. So it's like it doesn't affect me. Like I've grown very thick skin. So just having that, applying it to my city and embracing everything I do in my city, I think it makes people feel proud. Like I think I've been a very prominent figure to make people out of here feel proud. Like literally
Mhm.
millionaire athletes, stars that are from here haven't really embraced being from here until I embraced being from here. Now I've sort of made it like a cool thing, and I really am proud of that because no matter what, God forbid if I would have died tomorrow, I feel like that's my legacy, especially when it comes to where I'm from. My
Mhm.
home is like people can never take that away from me. Like, yo, he really made it where it's like proud and like cool to be from Rhode Island, the smallest state in the country. And especially to the people from here, at least if they know that, I think it's a major thing because I'm not gonna really not ever be here. I feel like I could do so much more things. Like I have so many things planned. I haven't really announced nothing, but I'll say it here. Like I have things like I want to do like a dating type of like content on the YouTube channel, similar to like how
Like a fresh and
Kid
fit.
Sid, you know what I'm saying? Like Kid Sid, what's the other men, the people out of UK, Sidemen, the Sidemen, right?
Yeah,
KSI and them.
yeah. I
So
was
they
thinking
have
like
like
more so fresh and fit, actually.
that could work as well. That could kind of work as well. But I'm thinking more of like almost like a series where it's like blind dating, speed dating, but in like the studio, like having them come in, like setting up certain like almost like a game show type of thing where I can have literally my friends that are single or like even individuals throughout the city who are interesting. Even that girl that was on talking about she drunk piss, etc. Having like men kind of like come and kind of not fight for her love and like a quick like turn into like a 15-20 minute episode on YouTube and it's like Rhode
Mm.
Island love and like Rhode Island speed dating, something like that. And I feel like that can work really well locally. And if it works locally, I know it can get traction online, you
Yeah.
know, because the city's really on the rise. Like I'm really proud to be from here, but now more than ever, like everyone is really on the rise. You have people, you know, on every spectrum. You have athletes, you have social media, reality TV show stars now because we have that girl. She's from Providence. Her name is Biggie. She is like becoming big online now, and she's gonna become like one of the biggest contestants on the baddies. Like it's like a bad girls club that they have on Zeus Network. Zeus Network has like TV shows. They got that new one with Christian and Blueface, but they got another one that's dropping after this. Like I think next month with it's called Baddies West or something. So there's a girl from Providence on there,
Mm.
and everyone's kind of known of her locally, but now she's on there and she's gonna definitely go viral because she has like the attention of like Natalie Nunn and like Krishan on
Mm.
social media, and they always have their like
Okay.
keep sneak previewing like scenes from the show. So it's like, oh, I already know that she's gonna be dope to have on the podcast, but that's like another example of like the city just getting highlighted and spotlighted more and more and it's a beautiful thing, man. But I'm a I'm honored to become naturally the sort of like I guess the platform for the state, for the city, and also just even individually like the source. Like even my Instagram stories or like my tweets when it comes to local news, like people always go to it to get like what's happening, or like they hit me up to repost something important that's happening.
Hmm.
So it's an amazing thing. Like I really hope and feel like I feel like a lot of people should do this, should kind of like take this blueprint of
Yeah.
embracing where they're from, their city and their town, especially like if it's like a town that no one's heard of, even more. Like
Hmm.
I feel like people need to do this, and I feel like in every aspect. Like I sometimes I even question like people that I know are my peers in certain space. Like eventually I want to have this conversation with them, but like for example, like the Mallory brothers, like I always see them
Hmm.
and what they're doing, but I'm like, yo, I would love to see and know more about like their city and where they're from and like how they feel about their city, because I tweet about local stuff and like it gets traction locally, but I also tweet about like hip hop, topics, and that goes viral as well, gets attention. But stereotypically, I never really see like people like their level of my peers who have like a good following online really tweet or engage with like their local city ever.
Hmm.
They always just talk about their topics, stereotypical things that you would expect within their personality, but they never really address like their city or their state or anything at all. And
Yeah.
I've always questioned that, like, why is that? Like, and I'm like, oh, I don't know. Like, what is it? Maybe that they don't really love where they're from, or maybe they just moved there. They're not really from there. It's a really interesting thing because, like, I really see it all the time. Like all the time. It could be all levels of creator, big, famous or not, but they really do that where like they really don't interact with their city. And I even wonder with their social media presence, like when it comes to like their Instagrams, etc. Do they even have people from their school still following them? Are they engaging with people
Hmm.
from their, university, etc.? Like what is that? I don't really see it, but that
Hmm.
leaves room for me to keep doing what I'm doing because I feel like me doing that kind of stands out. Because I get it all the time. People be like, "Oh, I'm surprised you're talking to me," etc. Like local people. I'm like, "What are you talking about? Like, why wouldn't I?" But they feel like I guess like I'm such like a unicorn within this pattern of like
The
things
face of
that they're
Rhode
used to
Island, bro.
seeing. Exactly. So, but I respect it, but I'm always reminding them like like I'm always here, like whether I respond late or not, I'm always here to provide some sort of tips or advice, because even though it's a small state, it doesn't mean like, and even though I'm doing what I'm doing, I don't want no one else not to do it. Like I want more podcasts to start, I want more
Hmm.
YouTubers to start, and if they already started, I want them to get bigger and better. It's not about just becoming the one person only. I
Hmm.
can't be that. I don't like gatekeeping. I rather, if anything, hold the gate open and keep letting people in. I'm not gonna be
Mm.
gatekeeping this information or
That's a
anything,
bar
but
right there. That's a tweet. I ain't gonna lie.
yeah, no, 100%, because it's like I feel like people do that a lot, and I'm not sure why. I guess for I don't know why. I really don't know why, because like gatekeeping information is good, I guess, for selfish reasons to protect your peace. But at the same time, if you really respect someone or if you see like genuine like potential in that said person, they don't have to have like a big presence, etc. If you see quality, if you see like, oh, it's worth it, you might as well like give them the gems, like give them the key pieces of
Yeah.
information, especially if they're asking for it or if you run into them, etc. You might as well do it because like why not? Like you only live once, you have to do it, and let's say it could help them in a different way than it helped you. You know, you want to kind of like what's it called when people say like you want to plant a seed, you want to keep planting seeds because you want to see how everyone else grows.
Hmm.
That's how I at least look at it. I want to have a influential sort of like legacy when I'm gone. I want people to realize like, oh yeah, he did help me with this, or he gave me advice on this, he responded about this, because I think it's really possible, no matter where you're from, especially if you're from here. And
Hmm.
that's where the bias comes in. Whereas like if you're from here, I kind of like want to support you even more
Hmm.
biasly because I want to see you kind of grow.
Hmm.
But then it's like it's a weird thing because sometimes there may be moments where people kind of blow up, and then I didn't even realize they were from here. Like that rapper Jalil's blowing up like crazy right now on TikTok,
He's from
etc.
Rhode Island.
Yeah, he's from Rhode Island. He's from Pawtucket, Rhode Island. He just
Wow.
was on. Yeah, he was on Academics' podcast like 3 weeks ago. No one talked about it. No one posted it. But then I listened to it. I think I'm halfway through, and he was talking about that in the beginning, like being from Rhode Island, etc. And I'm talking to his team to get him on my podcast. But he was gonna be on during the holidays, but he was in Nigeria. He went to Lagos for the holidays. Like I think he's still out there for New Year's and stuff. For his whole family's out there. They went back for the first time I think in a while because like I think he flew his whole family out like a family vacation type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So he's occupied doing that. But he's another interesting person that I think is gonna be big on my podcast. But aside from that, he's big right now as a personality, rapper. Has his own unique positive rap style, like energetic.
Yeah.
Doing like backflips and all this stuff that he's doing, but he's from Rhode Island. He has ties in Providence. I think he grew up in Pawtucket, so
Mm.
it's a crazy thing like that. I didn't even know he was from Rhode Island until people started telling me, and I started looking at his older stuff. I'm like, oh yeah, wow, okay, he is from here.
Mm.
But it's cool to see him not embrace it. Like he's talking about it on the academics. He was like, yeah, I'm from Rhode Island. Like he wasn't like a lot of people say they're from Massachusetts, Boston, New York, and in
Yeah.
reality they're from Rhode Island. That's the thing that sucks. It's like we can't
Mm-hmm.
or let's say they're from New England because the Patriots, you got the New England Patriots. So I guess that's a good way to summarize it. It's a good thing. But I do love saying like I'm from Providence, right? Because at the end of the day, like even him when he said it, academics knew of Rhode Island. He was like, oh, Rhode Island, right? You guys like the small state, blah blah blah. You know, a lot of people could, if they're not academics is obviously knowledgeable. He knows his stuff, but someone else might be like, oh, where is that? Like, where's that from? Like, I don't know nothing about Rhode Island. Like, Rhode Island, Long Island. Like, what are you talking about, Rhode Island? But you should embrace that. Like, oh, okay, let me teach you something. Because people are tired of the same shit. That's what we gotta start realizing. People are tired of the same shit, the same cookie cutter bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Like everything out here is the same. You're getting enough of the same. So if you want to really like do something else that's different, you have to embrace, you know, what already is. Because what already is might be the difference.
Mm-hmm.
It might be the difference maker. Being from, a small city in Indiana, and then you blow up making content out there about in this small city in Indiana, you might randomly like, oh shit, like that's different. People want what's different. They're tired of the same thing, and I think that's what people gotta realize. And another key thing that I haven't really said yet, but I feel like people should know because I've realized it myself. Drake said it in an interview. I forgot what interview, what year, but definitely was years ago, where he specifically loves embracing people that embrace their city because he embraces his city. He's always represented Toronto, the six man, six god, always, right? And if you notice, every single rapper that Drake has collaborated with or given a cosign to has always done the same. Whether it was Black Boy JB
That's
with the
true.
Memphis, he loved Memphis, always shout out Memphis. Whether it was people from his own city as well, not McConan, what's his name? His name, the Sweeter Man. He did the song Sweeter Man? It's a Sweeter Man. Ram Riddles.
Yeah,
Ram
yeah,
Riddles. When Ram Riddles from Toronto, he did that. He shouted him out, co-signed him. Or Little Baby, obviously with the Atlanta ties, Young Thug with Atlanta ties, and
yeah. Hmm.
especially every Atlanta artist. Every Atlanta artist represents that they're from Atlanta, talks about
Yeah.
that they're from Atlanta, you know, and it's like everyone needs to just do that. Like that's like a cheat code to like the rap game. Like if you embrace like where you're from in your song, in your music, or even shout yourself out, like say your name in your own
Hmm.
record, like with a dope vibe, it shows that you're confident. People
Hmm.
love investing into people that feel like they invested into themselves. If I felt like you're confident in yourself and you invested into yourself, I want to invest into you. I want to give you my time. I want to give you my attention because of the fact that, you know, it's inspiring. Like, oh, that's dope. Like you constantly see like
Hmm.
these random rappers on Twitter, etc. Like these clips of rapper or songs like going viral. And if you notice within these songs, they're saying their name without you knowing them. They'll
Yeah.
literally just say their name, or they'll shout out their city, or they'll shout out their gang or their crew without you knowing who the hell they are. You don't know who the hell. I don't know who the hell. You know, let's say for example, like a lot of people might not known. The people know the Bronx, but let's say like the Ice Spice song, like that song that went viral was talking about the Bronx. I'm from the Bronx because I know that you're dirty. Like saying
Yeah.
certain lines like that just makes people like feel like invigorated and like, oh shit, like they want to say it too because they might have heard of that, but even if they didn't, they want to like, I can connect the dots with that. And if they heard of it, even better, because it would be like, oh, they connected to other Bronx artists. But Drake always did that. Like to this day, like anytime he hops on a random remix or something, not like 9 times out of 9, literally the artist is embracing their city, shouting
Hmm.
out like their gang or whatever they are. And Drake always like, he does it. Like, and you see examples on a bigger scale where like he'll literally like buy and wear like a 4L chain, or he's a Slaughter
Yeah.
Gang CEO, like he's a Slaughter Gang CEO now,
Yeah.
or he's a free band bandit. Like he always, if you're embracing, shouting out your city, your culture, your crew, and your music and your content, people are gonna love it. Like I'm telling you right now, even out of here, Providence, we had a moment where this rapper Jay Deuce had a song called South Side of Providence that blew up, and Drake literally put that song on his OVO Sound radio when it
Mm.
was on Apple Music years ago, and that song became one of the biggest, if not the biggest, songs in Rhode Island history. And he had the potential to grow, but this artist, Jay Deuce, he fumbled it. He got caught up. He moved back to Florida. I guess he has family in Florida.
Mm.
But if he were to embrace that moment, take advantage of that moment right there, got the Drake cosign,
Mm.
and the song's already embracing the city, Southside of Providence. I'm literally recording right now in the middle of Southside of Providence, where he was literally representing Southside of Providence in his music. That's the song that Drake. What does Drake know about He doesn't know shit about Providence, but now he loves this artist because he sees that this artist is embracing his
Yeah.
city, and he's probably never heard of it. He's like, oh shit, Southside of what? I never heard of this place. Oh shit, okay, and that's why Drake gave that song a cosign.
Hmm.
Same with anything. Literally, you can say any example. Let's say UK, the Skeptas and they were embracing where they were from in their music. That's why Drake tried to get into that sound, into that pocket, and do the same thing. You
Hmm.
know, it's because he really realizes the power of that. That's why these records that randomly go viral is it works. Like you have the Florida rappers that went viral with the when they remixed I think it was the I Need You the Carly
Yeah.
Rae Jepsen song, those rappers out of the Florida, I
Hmm.
think it was Jackson, Florida, wherever it was specifically, that really helped that moment and that city and that area blow up more. Or
Hmm.
obviously the early stages of X and Ski Mask and everyone from Florida, the Florida rappers embracing Florida, and let them ride right up to the top, rise to the top, because people need to realize the power in that. Like everyone, like, if you're a Trippie Red fan, everyone's saying Big 14, what the fuck is going, and he's literally just talking about his area where he grew up in Ohio, in Cleveland.
Yeah.
So people got to realize like the power of that. If these major artists are doing it, then the smaller artists got to do it because that's what's gonna take you to the top. Embracing where you're
Facts.
from. When you become like lost and like you don't embrace where you're from, no one knows where you're from, and like you kind of become like this sort of like artist without an identity.
Hmm.
That's when your career starts to tumble. You see that with the Little Pumps. You see that with the 6ix9ine because it's like they lost their identity. They lost their
Yeah.
identity completely because they no longer can even go back to really embracing where they're from because they never really made it a part of their branding. So now people don't know who like they're just like a puppet. They don't see them as people. People don't
Yeah.
see you as people. But if you really like stay staple and like brand yourself as like this is where I'm from, this is what I do, etc. Like you represent it into your brand, into your content, whatever the fuck it is, then people are
Mm.
gonna invest in you and respect it because they're gonna realize like they're a human as well.
Hmm.
Because we're all from somewhere. And
Right.
and the reality is the majority of us out there are consumers, and the majority of the consumers, they haven't done much in their life. They're just, unfortunately working 9 to 5s, pushing by, and that's
Hmm.
okay as well, but
Yeah,
then they
nothing
relate
wrong with
to
that.
you.
Hmm.
There's nothing wrong with that. And then they relate to you when they see you, like, oh, this person, okay, he's an artist, but he's from over here. Like, oh, he's representing this. And like, okay, he's confident in where he's from. It makes them just feel confident in where they're from. They could be from any part of the world, like that's literally what it is. Like you have, people from the entire world trying to visit O Block like it's some sort of freaking tourist site.
I
It's
don't
because
get
these
that, man.
rappers, you know what I'm saying? It's because these rappers embraced where they were from so much and
Yeah.
shouted out O Block and O Block and O Block that it made people interested. Now it's a tourist site. Like that's so like insane, but at the same time, it goes back to what I'm saying. Like people gotta embrace where they're from. There's power in that.
Mm.
There's and I really have sat down and like studied this like in the past like 2 years. I'm like, yo, that's really a powerful thing. Like I remember Drake always saying that, but people not paying attention to that. And now I'm like, oh, now it's all coming back and making like a full circle moment. Like this is why it makes sense. Like
Yeah.
okay, because people love that like that home embracement or just like that hometown hero feeling of like people that represent where they're from, or if you don't they don't represent it, at least other people are representing where that person's from, so now they can have maybe opportunity to come back and like, oh, you from Rhode Island, right, where this person did this. I'm like, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. You create that
Hmm.
culture. You got to create that culture. And
Yeah.
going back to what your first question is, like, yeah, man, that's what I'm doing over here, trying to create that culture, trying to like brand that culture that I
Hmm.
feel at the same time is like you don't really gotta create it. It's already here, but you kind of gotta just highlight it. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? And that's what anyone from anywhere like is really doable. It's really
What
doable.
what initially gave you UYI and Marloon like the idea of like even doing music reactions in the car, like in general? Like what gave you that idea?
I want to say it was just me like wanting to just. I don't think it was just trying to be different. I think it was just being kind of lazy in a sense where it was like not lazy, but just working with what we got. Like we got. I
Hmm.
think it was Marloon was like Marloon said something about either reactions or YouTube, something of that nature, like just doing that. And I know for myself, I forgot if all the guys. I want to say that we all did, but I don't want to speak for them. But I want to say that we all were watching like reactions. At least, for example, Big Quint. Like people always
Hmm.
remember on YouTube,
Yeah.
Big Quint was a
Legend.
big like source of like comedy and like inspiration, like entertainment when he would be like in his house, literally just chilling, literally chilling in his crib, and he'll be on his chair, like reacting to music so
Yeah.
hard that he would like almost like break the chair, like going off. And then his girlfriend would randomly pop in the background, and people be like, "Oh my god, his girlfriend!" and this and that. It was
Yeah.
always like a thing, right? And that was Big Quint. So I remember seeing that. I'm like, "Oh, we could do that." Because we already listen to music. We constantly would listen to music. Every time a new album come out, we would listen to music together as friends. We'll go to people's houses, whether it was mine, someone's house, to kind of like listen to it at midnight, almost like at the drop. So
Hmm.
it was really the idea of just putting that on camera,
Mm.
and going back to what I said earlier, people would always respect me in school. Like there was something that would gravitate people towards me. Like they saw that I was different. They saw that we were different as like friends. Like we wouldn't go to do drugs. We wouldn't smoke. We wouldn't drink. We really wouldn't party. But we still would get the respect of the people that did that. And at the same time, we weren't full on nerds and like we didn't love school like that. But we would get respect of the people that did that as well. We were like the middle ground, right? So there was always something unique. People would say there's something unique about you guys, right? Something
Mm.
different. So this differentness became the brand that we created. And then at the same time, we just had one idea of like, okay, reacting to music in the car. Let's see how it works. It worked. At the time, I didn't realize why, but looking back, it's because people, again, if local people, etc., they liked who we were, then we were different. Then we put that on camera without realizing it. Our personalities just stood out because
Mm.
there was hundreds. There still was hundreds, but there was hundreds of reaction channels already big.
Yeah.
Like, why would ours out of nowhere just blow up?
Mm.
People liked us, and at the same time, we did provide that new background of being in the car. that didn't really exist at that time. People constantly dropping, car reactions. That wasn't a thing. There might have been some people that did them, but then did other styles. But in the car every week, GoPro, same angle, same aesthetic, same quality, no mic at first.
Yeah,
People didn't see that, and a lot of times it was like in a hoopty, like a rusty hood on the
yeah.
car,
Trust me,
like
I remember.
yeah, so people, really gravitated to that. And then I started realizing and analyzing, like, okay, I didn't know much about business as much as I know now. I wish I did, but I was like, if this works, we just gotta keep it up. Like consistency is key. I'm like, if this is working already, we barely tried. Then I really saw myself right away. I'm like, I see myself doing it for the rest of my life. I saw myself like, I'm just gonna do this for the rest of my life because, like, why not? And at the same time, we were getting messages from people literally, because we would have real talks during the fucking reactions. Like, it would be a song about an artist, talking about being sad or talking about suicide or talking about drugs, and I would literally talk about that. Be like, yo, did you guys hear that? Like, that's crazy, blah blah blah. And then it'll be the opposite as well, where if there's like a funny line or like a dope beat, we'll do like a funny dance, or like we'll have like a dope reaction to it,
Hmm.
and then we'll make people smile. So then it was like therapeutic for a lot of people. So I really respected that. And the messages I would get of people literally like talking about like me saving their life, or like them being suicidal, and like us helping them through that, I'm like, why the fuck? At least that's how I saw it, right? Why the fuck would I stop doing this? I feel like I have to do this for the rest of my life. Like, why? Like, it makes no sense to stop. Like,
Like
it's
I feel
like,
like it's your calling almost.
yeah, it was like my calling. Like, it was just natural, and like it felt easy to me, and I felt happy doing it. I still feel happy doing it. Like, if it always feels natural, especially when the outcome is like a positive outcome. Like, I think it's good. And at the same time, at first it's like, oh, you can be frustrated as a creator when it's like, is it getting views? Is this turning into like,
Yeah.
is everything viral? But then you realize, especially me now, I've realized more, like, it's really more about also like consistency is key. You don't know who's watching,
Hmm.
and at the same time, when you do put it out, you got to realize that this could be preparing you for something else that's going to be bigger down along the line. So this
Exactly.
could be looked at, let's say, practice.
Mhm.
So if I'm doing it as practice, then I'm gonna keep on doing it, because you have to look at it as, if I'm getting this following, this attention, I'm becoming this personality, you know, and this is my field of profession, then the only difference between me and, let's say, a person coming up that wants to be a basketball player and becoming an athlete is just the fact that they're an athlete and I'm doing this. But there's nothing else that's really different. We both have aspirations, we both have a following, we both are growing fan bases. So if they're going to the gym 5 a.m. in the morning every day to practice shoot arounds, etc., then why wouldn't I just keep this consistency going, and this becomes my practice?
Hmm.
These low viewed videos, whatever, that becomes my practice. And then I have my bigger ones, whatever. They become viral, etc. It doesn't really matter at that point. It's just everything is, you know, becoming
Hmm.
content, and just keeping it on going. And at the same time, if a video is really like bad or etc., like I didn't feel it, like I've had moments like that by myself. Me and Eric, when we were filming, sometimes we'll have moments like that. We would delete the video, or we'll refilm it, or just won't drop it. Like, it wasn't that really too serious either. Like, I wouldn't like,
Yeah.
try to like kill myself over it. Like, I always try to keep it natural and like organic. Like, okay, if that didn't feel good, that's let me scrap that, and that's it. But
Mm.
those videos that might not get views, etc. And I feel like every creator should look at that as well that way, where it's like, look at it as practice, because you see Steph Curry literally putting up 100 threes in a row in practice,
Hmm.
and then in a real game the next day versus the Heat, he might suck. He might only put up 10 points, but in practice he was amazing.
Yeah.
And then in practice, no one saw that. He wasn't getting paid for practice. Practice wasn't on TV, but people heard about it. The quality was there. You have to just keep going. So you have to look at that as practice in your own version. So me, with my videos that might not get views, that's me shooting in the gym, practicing like Steph Curry would. And in the videos that might go viral, etc., get more attention, the bigger artists, that's me on prime time, ABC, playoff, etc. That's how I look at it.
That's a good way to look at it, for sure, for sure. What are three of the biggest moments that made you realize like damn, we can really do this shit like long term?
Whew, three of the biggest moments. I would say one of them was
No, it's been a
the
lot of moments, but
yeah, no, 100%. The one of them would probably be the beginning of the first video getting the traction that it did, the Isaiah Rashad one, because I think Isaiah Rashad literally commented on social media, and I was like, oh damn, okay, this is crazy right away. And then it got a good amount of views right away, like a couple thousand. I'm like, damn, okay, people are really watching this. The second one was interacting with artists. For example, the Trippie Red moment when Trippie Red reached out and like DM'd us because he had an opinion on our reaction to his album,
mm-hmm.
and it wasn't like a hugely viewed, especially yet, a reaction. I feel like we just dropped that reaction to that album, and then he DM'd us about it. So I was like, oh, and he was kind of mad, etc. And then we formed that relationship with him. But then that reminded me, like, oh shit. Again, going back to the idea of practice, it doesn't matter how big or how it could be the smallest videos. You never know who the fuck is watching.
Mm-hmm.
So this whole time, this man's been watching these videos. He just was, very, Trippy Red. He's a star. He probably doesn't want to reach out. But then he reached out when we didn't disagree with or didn't love his music because he got heated at us. But then he also proved to us, he said it like he watched them all. He's watched all our videos, all of our reactions, like to the artists that he loves. So it's like confirmation. I'm like, okay, I gotta keep going. This could be bigger than or this is already bigger than what I think it is. I just gotta keep it going. And then the third moment, would probably be going back to, that moment or moments like how, you know, in person rather than through DMs. Cause I get dope inspirational DMs, but in person, if I were to go to the mall or something and I see like a young person want to approach me and kind of like ask for a photo, those moments I never take them for granted because at first it felt awkward. I'm like, why the fuck do these people want a photo from me? Like I am nobody. Like I'm nothing. But then I realized like, bro, like that's powerful. Like why not? Like and like I always am open to those type of moments because you never know what you can, what seed you can plant. Going back to the idea as well, what seed you can plant in someone. That one photo, that one conversation, that one day with that person could be what made them, 10 years from now make that decision that changed their life. And now they're bigger than me and they're, running $1 million companies and like creating big star movies. But they always remembered that one interaction with me in the mall or something. I started realizing that more and more, because they'll range. It's been kids in the mall, and it's been grown ass men, damn near like in their 50s, at the beach randomly, like, oh my god, I saw your Kid Cudi reaction. I'm like, what? It's like, and then like they fan out and they love it. So it's like those three like sort of like moments definitely made me realize, like, okay, this is I'm doing the right thing.
Mm. Okay, okay. So, what were some of like the biggest adjustments that you had to make when Twy left Club Ambition?
Yeah, the biggest adjustments. One of them was definitely just myself literally just doing it. Like one thing was like telling myself like, okay, I got this. I could do this after he's gone. I could do it myself. But then another thing was actually doing it and then, realizing like I'm not just doing this now, like this is gonna be how it is. So kind of literally adjusting to that
Mm.
was weird at first. Like I would struggle with like myself acting as if I don't know like how to be on camera. Like I would talk to myself in the car, like what am I doing? Why are you acting like you don't know how to be on camera? Like, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
But and aside from that, the other there's two other things. The one thing else would be fans, which I did with it to this day, but I've grown thick skin to like not let it affect me. But fans always you gotta realize fans are gonna always be used to what they're used to. So they're gonna always ask, where is he? Where is he? What happened?
Yeah.
Especially if they didn't realize what happened at the time, especially if they weren't, following the content at that time and the announcements at that time. If
Hmm.
they only came for reactions and they only came for like the big artist reactions, when it came down to the next big artist reaction and they didn't see him and then they didn't see him again and then they never seen him again, they're gonna always be like, wow, like what was going on? So I really don't blame them. But at the same time, or let's say the third thing would be that would be one thing, the comments. But the third thing would be the what would it be? That's a probably probably just the creative feeling, having to adjust to the creative feeling now, like
Mm,
of like embracing the idea of like not having to run through or run it by anybody, like ideas and stuff for the channel now. Like I do whatever I want whenever I want,
yeah.
because before it was a struggle. Like when you work with someone, you always have to take their opinion into account,
Mm,
and I would take his opinion into account a lot of times, almost more than mine. Whereas like I would like put ideas on the back burner, like we didn't drop merch right away because he didn't want to really drop it. So we took
mm,
years to drop the merch. But I really wanted to do it right away. Right away, I mean, we could just do it right away this way, and then we can get money from this, and then But he really wasn't. He was like, he was really questioning it. So certain
mm,
moments like that now, being non-existent have been, you know, not struggles, but kind of like adjusting periods of like, okay, reminding myself that I could do it because
mm.
it's still fresh. It's been in what 1 year now since that happened,
Yeah.
and the traction has gotten bigger, but as far as a YouTube channel, it hasn't grown as I would have loved for it to kind of grow when it came to just like reactions. Like I would love to kind of get in a space where like a John Denton or like these other creators in the reaction game are, where like even like a regular reaction can get, let's say a 10,000 minimum views, but
Mm,
that's not really it's not really happening for me because people are used to like the YI and me type of engagement, etc. You
mm,
know, but no matter what, when it comes to the big artists, like I think I just passed the 100K with the Metro Boomin album. I know that no matter what, when it comes to these big artists, that I give enough, you know, entertaining content, inspirational quality, and I'm professional with it. Like I'll put timestamps, I have good descriptions, I have proper logo placements, you know,
mm,
I have proper intros and outros. I give good content, right? So
mm.
those videos are gonna do good. I no matter what, I know that, right? But then at the same time, I gotta not be so hard on myself because
Yeah.
I gotta realize like I've said earlier, the music industry lately in the past probably like 5 years, music hasn't really dropped consistently, especially from major artists. They haven't dropped as consistently as they used to, you
Hmm.
know,
Especially last year.
and especially last year. So that's affected the reaction channel game.
Hmm.
A lot of these reaction channels have been affected by that. And at the same time, I never really wanted, and Eric didn't too. Why I didn't want to when he was a part of YouTube, we didn't really want to live and die by being known as the reactors
Yeah.
either, right? So it's also a blessing in disguise, whereas like that happened, but now people know us for other things. Like even though like let's say a clip about me talking about let's say the Andrew Tate getting arrested only gets a couple thousand on YouTube, but that clip went viral,
Yeah.
separately on TikTok. It went
Hmm.
viral. On my Instagram Reels, it went viral. And people already this past weekend came up to me talking about that clip specifically.
Hmm.
So that's another thing. Like I've sort of mastered. I used to be kind of annoyed. I didn't love TikTok. I'm like, yo, what the fuck is this, etc. Like,
I
oh
was the
damn,
same way, bro. It was the same
you
way.
know, bro, because it's easy to be that way because it's like something new, something that's like, not what you're really used to, and like you
Hmm.
see sort of like one sort of like popular thing on it, like dances, etc. So you're like, oh, that's whack. But then I'm looking at everything now, especially now that I'm a father. I've looked at everything more like from the ceiling above, like looking in, like objectively. I'm looking at things like as a business and like analyzing why it works, right?
Hmm.
So if TikTok works, the 9 by 16 frame of videos, that's literally what a phone is, an iPhone screen. That's 9 by 16. You make content like that, that's gonna live on TikTok. That's gonna live on IG Reels and now YouTube Shorts, right?
Hmm.
And I've been successful on all those three by creating content like that. So I literally went from being frustrated, I'm like, no, I'm not gonna do that shit, to now I've mastered it. Literally, like I'll have moments of talking about something and I'll be like, this is gonna go viral when I make it into like a 9 by 16. I'm like, once I do that, I know this is gonna go viral, and it goes viral every time. Like
Hmm.
it's like I have a feeling like, okay, this is important information. This is like something that I care about, and I feel like people should know about or care about. Let me put it out there. I'll do it on the podcast. I'll do it on these clips on Patreon, etc. But then let me put it into 9x16s to put on TikTok, IG, and they go viral and they blow up.
Why do you
Like
think they go so
the,
viral? Like,
I think it's two things. I think it's because I'm handsome. Nah, that's not true. Nah,
talk your shit,
nah, nah,
bruh.
nah. I think it's because I literally started studying people like Andrew Schultz, like Flagrant 2,
Okay.
even Mr. Beast. Mr. Beast with his YouTube videos, he's always done it where it's like these captions,
Hmm.
and like the captions usually are like yellow, or like if they're white, they have like a thick black stroke outline. So people read, you know.
Yeah.
So aside from you just talking, people get to read it as well. So it's like more engaging. You know, I've
Mm,
always been like that. Like I'll watch movies with captions on. I watch Netflix shows. I was watching Wednesday last night with captions on. I always watch shows with
mm,
captions on. So I always was like, damn, I want to do that, but that seems like a lot of work. Then I started doing it, and it was a lot of work. I was like, this is hard, but I'm like, it works. The videos get more attention. I should do this. But then recently, I've done them so much, and I learned new ways to do them, like through Adobe Pro, like auto generating captions, and like doing presets on my fonts. That is so quick and easy now that it's amazing. Like I can bust out like probably like 5 to 6 TikTok videos if I want to, like in one day, and I
mm.
can just drop them throughout the week. But I can edit them in one day because I learned how to literally do them so easier and so faster that I really take pride in that because I went from hating this shit to now like literally studying it and becoming a growing person in this space.
Hmm.
And then when it comes to YouTube Shorts, it helped the channel within the past like month or two, like gain like 20,000 subscribers. It went
Mm.
from people like, oh, I'm leaving the channel, I'm unsubbing because YI's not here no more. Oh, to people literally like subbing like crazy because of a couple YouTube Shorts that went viral. And they had all the same thing, 9x16. They had the captions, me talking, because that's one thing. I already feel like me talking already can get someone's attention because like I can make something that might be shitty or whatever sound like okay, that actually kind of matters because I'm
Yeah.
confident in what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So I already know that me being on camera doing that is gonna work. But I'm like, how can I step it up? Putting captions. Okay, that works. How else can I step it up? Maybe if I put like a line in the middle, and then on top is me talking with the captions, but then below the line that's in the middle on the screen, you get the content that I'm talking about. You get the video that I'm talking about. You get the photos of the topics I'm talking about. So you get people's like mind like fully
Yeah.
captured, like, oh shit, like this is what this is perfect. Like, you know, and those videos have gone viral. Like it's crazy. Like the little Dirk. I was talking about little Dirk on his 30th 30-year-old birthday, and like him talking about his ops and this and that.
Hmm.
That went viral on YouTube Shorts. It has like I think about to hit 4 million views. It's about to become my most. I think it's
Damn.
gonna become my most viewed piece of content ever. Like all time
Damn.
highest viewed content is me talking about Little Dirk and that whole situation because his fans went crazy. Like, oh my god, you can't come to Chicago no more. You're talking crazy. Like, oh my god, you, be careful. Watch your back. Like I'm like, all right, guys. Like relax. Like this is just an opinion. And that
Yeah.
video went crazy. Another video that went crazy again with that same format was me talking about Taylor Swift and Taylor Swift's ticket sales for her tour,
Mm.
doing similar numbers as a Lil Durk video. Helped the YouTube channel, helped the TikTok grow, millions of views. So I think that's my most viewed on TikTok is the Taylor Swift video now. I think it passed everything now.
Mm.
But that's the thing because it's scary at the same time because like those are so easy for me to make and so easy for me to just do that is scary because like damn,
Yeah. Like,
I
why is
can
this
really
going
go.
viral?
Yeah, exactly. Like, why is this going viral? Like, this is like, because for me, it takes more job and more effort to like, let's say the other videos I've gone viral where like I'm going in the street, like talking to people in the street, interviewing people in the street. Those take more time and that's like more work, but those can go viral. So I know that they can go viral as well.
Hmm.
But these videos of me just whenever I want to sit down in my studio and just do that, you know, going viral is pretty crazy to me. Like, because I know that as of now, it really hasn't transitioned into really like monetary gain because again, YouTube Shorts and TikTok, you don't make money from it. You can't monetize them. You don't make money from these platforms,
Yeah.
right? But I think they're changing that this year, 2023. So hopefully that helps because then I can monetize these things, and also it can eventually lead to maybe more brand partnerships and sponsorships.
Mm.
We've had some, Bel Air keeps sending us alcohol all the damn time. I don't even drink alcohol like that, and they keep sending me alcohol. But it's like it's free alcohol, you know.
Yeah.
But those type of opportunities eventually can turn aside from just them showing love to like money, because
Mm.
that's what I really want. I really want to grow the business. I want to buy better equipment. I want to eventually literally move out the hood. Like I want my son to like live in a better space. Like I want to, you
Mm.
know really affect my community on a monetary level rather than just like, okay, I make it look good online. Okay, this is inspiring. This is cool content. Okay, I really want to affect people's lives monetarily, but that can't happen unless it's happened to me myself yet. You know what I'm saying? So it's
Yeah.
like I still got to be patient with it. But as of now, I've still been able to break even. You know, pay for the studio, keep the stuff going, but
Do you
that's another struggle as a creator.
do you manage the channel and the podcast like solo dolo, just like by yourself?
Yeah,
Everything?
basically everything is me. Basically everything is me.
Mm.
Because I do have my friends that help when they can, like executive produce the podcast, which is basically just sitting down and pressing buttons like to switch the cameras,
Mm.
and also just checking like monitoring the monitor to make sure that the cameras didn't disconnect or they didn't unfocus, things of that nature, right? Which are
Okay.
very important as well. But overall, I am always writing down the topics to discuss, scheduling guests, you know,
You have no
literally everything.
editor,
Like,
nothing. No editor,
no,
just
no, no,
all
it's
you.
all me. It's all me. It's all me. But that's why I love doing that because one is like I definitely can be stubborn and I want things to be done a certain way.
Mm.
But two, like I said, going back to the money, I really can't even afford to have
Yeah.
anyone else do things or pay them to do things. Because I feel like my friends, even though at the end of the day, friends are friends, they love you, but people are gonna want money at some point. I feel like without them even saying it, if I were paying them, maybe they would take it more seriously. Maybe they would show up always on time. Maybe they would like,
Mm.
literally not, because if I tell them one day, let's say, yo, you can quit your jobs and just do this with me for a living,
Hmm.
I guarantee that their energy has to change. I would
Hmm.
imagine, that they would like damn near live in the studio at that point. But I can't expect that right now from them because they're not really getting nothing from it monetarily because they have their own bills, they have their own situations as well. But I can provide them, which I have provided them with tremendous amount of opportunities to create, if they want to create their own content, they want to create their own podcast, if they want to create anything, if they want to connect with people. They've met literally all these people, these millionaires, these interesting people that we interview and we connect with. I always say we. They always mention the brand. Whenever I get seen in public, people mention the brand because I am an individual, but they see as a company, as a brand. So if
Yeah.
they're a part of it, that's a huge opportunity, which I hope that they've taken advantage of it sometimes. But I wish that they take advantage of it more because that's all I can really provide right now. Because
Hmm.
I'm not making money to to provide them with more of a monetary gain, etc.
Hmm.
But one day, hopefully, that changes, and when that does change, I've already laid the blueprint of like, this is how I film this, this is how I edit this. So if I have to pay someone to do that, imagine how much more content I could be pumping out. Imagine how much more podcasts I could be running, I could be starting, because I'm laying that blueprint. But at the same time, it's at the hand of, it is practice for the future, but at the same time, it's because I'm being cheap and I can't afford, certain things, so I have to do everything myself. But people always get surprised by that as well. Like, you do it yourself,
Yeah.
every time. But it's like, yeah, this is why, this is why sometimes I don't sleep. This is why,
It's that Nigerian
sometimes I
in
might,
you, bro. You're hardworking.
yeah, man. Sometimes I might come off crazy or something like, what I'm saying? Is because I just gotta keep it going, because if not, if I stop, it all stops, So I also put that battery in my own back, So that's another challenge that I face, but I love it.
Mm. Okay. So shit, last question, since it's 2023, you know what I'm saying? What are some new year resolutions that you have for yourself and for the channel?
Whew, New Year's resolutions for myself. Definitely, I definitely want to be a good father more than I feel I have been right now. I think I've definitely been a great father, but the thing is, my son is growing now, and now he's gonna eventually this year gonna start talking, being more responsive.
Hmm.
So now I feel like are gonna be the real deal moments that matter, where you know we can have conversations, even though he might not really be able to digest it as much. If he starts talking back to me this year and like I'm talking to him, like that's gonna be moments where I gotta really practice being a father more than ever. So this is gonna be a very crucial year for my parenthood and becoming a father. Like I really sat down and like thought about that. Like that's gonna be a very very big thing this year. So I really gotta focus on that. Aside from that, though, I would say I really want to practice behaviors that these huge people that I really listen to, etc., or look up to do. For example, waking up early, scheduling, organizing. I want to do all that. I want to get to the stereotypical like
Hmm.
Mark Wahlberg level. Like Mark Wahlberg always says, like he freaking wakes up at 4 a.m., goes to the gym, has breakfast, and this and that. But like
Yeah.
like that's what I really want to do. But it's like I'm a father. I'm a new father, so it's been tough. But this year, I really hope to like kind of do that. Like wake up early, like that's my ideal thing. Sleeping early, waking up early to do so much throughout my day. Like I feel like I could be very more productive and more, you know, yeah, just productive. I feel like I am right now productive, but like I
Hmm.
make it look good, but it's like a behind the
Yeah.
scenes it's a mess. Trust me, it's a mess. Like I'm telling you right now, I got a whole car full of like laundry right now. Like my life's like a whole mess. But it's try.
Hmm.
Can you see me?
Yeah.
My bag. I got a call real quick, so I think
Yeah,
it's
you're good.
quick.
We're almost done anyway, so
Am I back?
yeah,
All right. And then yeah, she's gonna. If she calls again, I'm gonna just pick up and let her know what I'm doing because knowing
for
her,
sure.
she's is my girlfriend. She's probably going crazy.
Yeah, we're
But
almost done. It's cool.
yeah. And then the last one would be when it comes to the company and the channel resolution would be just similar to what I said earlier, creating more content. Like I want to do the dating content. I want to kind of veer towards more females because I feel like I have
Hmm.
statistically a huge male following, but I want to really embrace the females because I feel like once you get the female audience's engagement, it's like
It's to the moon.
you're it's like you're going to the next level because
Yeah.
women are really the tastemakers of everything. If a girl likes a certain brand of clothing, the men start buying it. If a woman likes a song from this sort of like underground up and coming trap artist out of Detroit, then that's the song to listen to. Like everyone starts grabbing onto it. Women are really the tastemakers in culture. Like no matter what people say, like at the end of the day, women are the tastemakers. So I really want to veer towards more of the women fan base because I really feel like I'm growing it, especially locally. But I want to really do more content like that. So that's what people can expect on the channel, and also guests like big guests. Like we've had Rhode Island people on so far, but you know, shout out to Jeremy Pena for coming on the Houston Astros
Yeah, I saw that one. That was
champion.
good.
That alone was like not even arguably, unarguably the biggest podcast like in the history of Rhode Island. So that one right there was already a
Hmm.
landmark. But I really am gonna get bigger people that are not just from Rhode Island to come on the podcast and to just do content with me. Like I'm developing series. Like I did I'm gonna do the dating show. I'm gonna go back to the drawing board and get better with the quality on the backseat freestyle content that I've started. I'm gonna do better backseat freestyle content because I feel like it needs to be done because no one has that. I really basically own that name, that brand of the backseat freestyle. So if I get it properly aligned, where I can kind of create like some sort of mechanism that holds literally the microphone perfectly, like from the middle console, and it kind of hangs it to the back. That
Mm.
way, whoever's sitting there can kind of just
Okay.
you know rap right there without having to even touch it or nothing, like in their face. Then I feel like I could compete with Funk Flex or the
Yeah, that'd
ones
be
that go
dope.
viral now. What's it called? Like on the block. The
Or
people that
on
be
the
like on
radar.
the block. On the radar is one, but the one that be on the block where it's like a microphone randomly hanging from
Oh
like
yeah,
they're in the
yeah,
middle of
yeah,
the middle of the projects in the hood just rapping and like a
yeah.
microphone's hanging from the top of the air like out of nowhere. That one or Color Studio, Color Studio.
Hmm.
Uh, so I really want to create a space where it's a backseat freestyle, and if it's high quality, I feel like I could take over the world with that. Like that's gonna be something that's gonna be huge because it could be up and coming artists, it could be big artists, backseat freestyle. Like everyone's gonna relate to that, like being in the backseat, like just freestyling with your friends. So I'm
Yeah.
excited for that. That's why I kind of paused with that one because I feel like I need to get that one better. Like
Hmm.
I need to work on that one. The camera, I needed to work on that one for that one to be like better because they already kind of had an impact. People liked it, but I was like, no, I wasn't satisfied fully with it. I want to get the mic sounding better, the quad. I wanted to literally be like how people talk about these other platforms that people go to freestyle on.
Hmm.
Shout out to all of them because I really watched them all. But
Yeah.
yeah, 2023, they're gonna have another person to compete with. I'll tell you that much. Backseat freestyle is coming soon.
Okay, okay, okay. That's dope. That's dope. That's dope.
Yeah,
Hey man, appreciate you coming on. You know what I'm saying? One of my favorite podcasters, one of my favorite channels, you know what I'm saying? Club Ambition, formerly known as Complex Ambition. You know what I'm saying?
yes,
What
sir.
made you change the name, actually?
Whew, I can't talk about it much, but let's say
Some
that's the
copyright?
question. That's a question for our lawyer. I'll say that much. That's
Okay, okay. I see it. I see what's
one
going on.
day. One day I'll spill the beans on that one. But that basically says everything in itself.
Yeah, yeah, I kind of felt like that's what it was too.
Yeah. Exactly. I feel like a lot of people did as well. That's why we really didn't have to say it. But yeah, shit happens.
Yeah, yeah. Hey man, let the people know where to find you. Instagram, YouTube, all that, bro.
Yeah, man. Find me on Instagram and Twitter. It's a vibe. It's a vibe.
Oh damn.
But as I was
Yeah.
saying, yeah. So it's a vibe on Twitter and it's a vibe on Instagram is where you can find me. I go by Sound from Club Ambition, the owner of Club Ambition YouTube channel, media company, out of the small state in Rhode Island, out of the small state, out of the small state in the country. That's called Rhode Island. The capital of Rhode Island, though, Providence is where I'm from. And yeah, and especially on Twitter, make sure when you type in "it's a vibe," you type in "it's a vibe." There's a freaking porn star on Twitter. I've realized throughout the past couple months that it's a vibe, but his username is L instead of an I, but it's basically it reads out as a vibe.
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
You know what I'm saying?
It's like a
So it's
lowercase
like a
L.
exactly lowercase L. That
Okay.
way it looks like an I. Lowercase L looks like a capital I, and I think his like username is not literally as a vibe, but then everything else is it's a vibe. Like he promotes himself as that. It's a
Mm.
male porn star, a male gay porn star, and a bunch of gay porn. I get tagged in all the damn time with this guy going hard as hell. Congratulations to him and his career. I'm not judging him, but
Shout out
it's
to him,
not
man.
me. It's not me. Like I guess it's crazy. Like the past couple months, I'm like, yo, what the fuck? But thank God for Elon Musk and that that blue check opportunity now with
Yeah.
the Twitter blue, because
I
I
heard
can
people saying it's
differentiate
like
myself.
useless or whatever because it's like they can kind of tell like who's legit and what's not. But I don't know.
Nah, with me it works because now they know I'm not the porn star at least. So thank God I'm not the gay porn star because that shit was driving me crazy at first. I'm like, what the hell is happening? And I started realizing, I'm like, oh, that's what's going on. But I'm the only it's a vibe on Instagram as of now. So yeah, follow me on both. And yeah, man, make sure to tune in to the podcast. Club Ambition podcast drops every Tuesday morning. No matter what, we never miss a Tuesday. And yeah, weekly reviews, reactions. At this point, there's always something up, if not something new, old. This month might be dry. Next month might be dry too, because I feel like the first quarter there's not really much music dropping. So
Mhm.
as of now, there's nothing really announced unless Playboy Cardi really drops randomly. We'll see.
Maybe
Um,
Utopia or something like that. Who knows?
yeah, or something like that. But stay tuned. There's always gonna be some sort of content pumped on the channel. But also make sure to tune into the TikTok, Club Ambition TikTok. You know, it's growing. Appreciate everybody supporting us on there. And yeah, man, that's it, man. I appreciate you for having me on today. Thank you for, caring about my opinion and supporting me. And, I really wish you well in doing this and, and reaching out to people like me to, tell our stories because believe it or not, I don't really get asked to. I feel like early on when we started YouTube and we were like growing on it with the reactions and stuff, people kind of would ask us to be on, their podcasts, etc., or get interviewed. But as of late, no, it hasn't really been happening for me, and I've been kind of feeling like, damn, am I not popping enough? Like, what's going on?
No,
Like, I'm
niggas is
asking
still
all these
watching.
people,
Trust me, niggas is
you know what
still
I'm saying?
watching.
I feel like I'm asking so many people to like to interview them, etc. I'm like, no one's asking me back. So anytime this would is to happen, it's definitely appreciated. So I appreciate you, brother. Thank you, man, for really reaching out.
Absolutely, absolutely. And next time when we do the next panel, I think we did like our top 10 songs. Next time we do a panel, if you want to come on, just let me know, bro.
Oh no, I'm down. I'm down, definitely. And eventually, I wanted this year to set up. I'm gonna get better internet in the studio. I want to set up like a live stream, uh, just live stream from the studio because I have the whole setup basically. Because I record on OBS Studio. That's what people live stream from, like Twitch streamers, etc. So I wanna, take calls like this and just talk with people from the studio with like high quality live stream. 'Cause I think that could be really dope and really epic. So that way I won't have to be doing it from my car on my iPhone.
Maybe you be pulling it off though. You be pulling it off. I ain't gonna
Yeah,
lie.
yeah, you know what
Okay.
I'm saying. But I appreciate you, man. I'm definitely down to talk more, for sure throughout the year. Just definitely stay in touch.
No doubt, no doubt. I know you got some shit to do, so I'm gonna let you go ahead and get up out of here. But again, appreciate you for doing it. First interview of the year. You know what I'm saying? Who else better but to have sound from Club Ambition? You know what I'm saying? So
I
appreciate you for
love, man.
coming through, man. Appreciate it.
It's an honor, man. It's an honor, man. I wish you well this year. I wish you a lot of prosperity and a lot of growth and your branding and everything that you're doing as a creator. And the sky is not it's not the limit. It's only the place of for you to be and look at everything happening, and then you can literally go above the sky. So trust me, man. It's the possibilities are endless. So just keep going.